The story continues with Jin Woo sleeping in late, and he receives a call from Jin Ah. Hearing his voice, she realizes that he is still in bed, asking him if he even knows what time it is. He notices that it's 2 in the afternoon, and she reminds him that her parent-teacher meeting is supposed to be today. The scene cuts to him showing up for her parents-teacher meeting, and she is surprised to see him looking so dashing. He wonders if he looks strange, but she states that it's not that, and he clarifies that he had to put on something decent since he couldn't just see her teacher in sportswear. Jin Ah is surprised how much people can change, and as she walks around the hallway with him, he resists all the girls around, making them wonder who he is. Jin Ah recalls that he still doesn't have a girlfriend, asking him if she should introduce him to someone here, but he is not keen on that. Afterwards we see him having a meeting with her teacher, and her teacher tells him that Jin Ah is a good student and she is a role model for others. The teacher is proud of her, explaining that she even did well on her mock exams. She is sure that his sister will be able to get into a medical college, and she hopes that he won't push her too much. He understands, and before finishing the session, she asks him if Jin Ah ever became awakened, would he let her be a hunter? He sternly refuses, and she expected such an answer, wondering if she can ask a favor of him. The scene shifts to Jin Woo meeting up with Song Yi, and she is surprised to see him. He reveals to her that he is actually the brother of Jin Ah, and she realizes that the teacher must have asked him to make her quit being a hunter. She sternly refuses to quit and go back to school, and he tells her that she won't be able to make money as an E-rank hunter. He knows that she must have made some nice money as part of his assault team, but this was an exception, and she asks him to leave if he is just going to preach to her. She points out that he is also an E-rank hunter, and he reveals that he is not here to persuade her to give up, asking her to follow him. Elsewhere we see Jinchul welcoming Huang Dong-soo to Japan, and Dong-soo is surprised to see that the chief of the Hunter Association himself is here to greet him. Jinchul gets straight to the point, asking him how long he is going to stay here, and Dong-soo tells him to not worry since he is not going to be here for long. Jinchul is surprised that Dong-soo chose to return to the country that he betrayed just to meet those two people, and Dong-soo is sure that Jinchul is aware that he is not just here to see the two of them. He mentions that the guys in the surveillance team should just pretend to ignore whatever he does to those two in a dungeon, and he reveals his intentions to first take care of Jin Woo and then Jin Ho. He is confident that Jinchul won't be able to stop him with his poor abilities, and Jinchul states that he is just doing his duty. Somewhere else we notice a monster being unloaded from the chopper that Guildmaster Choi and the others took to Jeju Island, and Choi explains the situation to the chairman of the Hunter Association. He mentions that the monsters were trying to cross the sea to the mainland, but they weren't able to fly for so long and they fell into the sea. He is sure that they will one day be able to cross over to the mainland, if they let them be, and Gun-hee offers to do whatever he can to stop this. The scene shifts to Jin Woo meeting up with Sang-min, and Sang-min states that it was unexpected to receive a call from Jin Woo. He notices that Song-yi is with him as well, and Jin Woo apologizes for his sudden request, but Sang-min doesn't mind. He is just surprised that Jin Woo wanted to watch their training. He explains that the gate they see here is of level C, and it appeared just recently. Just then an impatient man interrupts them, stating they should start the raid already, as they are not here for a picnic. Jin Woo wonders who this guy is, and the man is introduced as Kim Chul, a rank A hunter with the job of a tanker. Sang-min states that he is the leader of this assault team, and he is annoyed that they let some E-rankers come and watch his raid. Kim Chul clearly looks displeased that he has been assigned to look after some E-rankers, and Sang-min explains to Jin Woo that this assault team has 1 rank A hunter, 5 rank BS, and 2 rank CS. Including the two of them, 10 people will be carrying out this raid, and Jin Woo doesn't like there being so many people here, since he invited Song-yi along so he can show her how difficult dungeon raids really are, but it might be difficult with such a large group. Sang-min's assistant tells Jin Woo to just stay in the sidelines and give the opportunity to fight to the newcomers, and Jin Woo understands. Everyone then heads into the gate, and Jin Woo senses something weird as soon as they enter. They notice the gate behind him acting in a strange way, as it turns red. Jin Woo realizes what's going on, trying to escape the gate, but he barely manages to squeeze his head out, telling Sang-min to get in touch with the assault team, and he gets pushed back inside the gate again. Sang-min contacts Yoon-ho, telling him about the surprising appearance of a red gate, and Yoon-ho heads towards them at once. Meanwhile, Jin Woo and the others open up their eyes surrounded by a snow field, and everyone is surprised to see that the gate has disappeared, wondering how they are going to get out of here. Kim Chul informs everyone that this is a red gate, and Song-yi wonders what that is. Jin Woo explains to her that it's different from a regular gate, and it's a dungeon after entering which they lose all contact with the outside world. To get out of here, they will either have to defeat the boss, or wait until the dungeon collapses. The outside world can't interfere with this gate, and there are many magic beasts inside. Just then they are attacked by some arrows, and one of their guys dies. However, Jinwoo catches the arrow meant for Song-yi, protecting her. The girl in the team notices this, and they can all see that they are surrounded by ice elves. Jinwoo notices that they are quite far away, and this is why he wasn't able to sense them. He can see that they targeted the two weakest people in their group, and if this happened 2 months ago, he would be dead right now. The ice elves then disperse, and Song-yi seems confused, so Jinwoo explains to her that ice elves are brutal, and the hunters often refer to them as ice slayers. Kim Chul addresses everyone, telling them that they are not going to get any help in this place, and he asks them all to follow his command if they want to survive. He states that even he can't lead all of them, informing them that they are going to split up into 2 groups, pretending that this is so more of them can survive this place. He mentions that they might freeze to death if they stay in this place, and he offers to make everyone who follows him survive. Everyone wants to go with him, but Kim Chul singles out the weak ones, telling them that they can't come with him. He explains that 1 day in this place is equal to an hour outside, and it might even take them months to defeat the boss, or wait for the dungeon to collapse. He mentions that he is going to leave the dead weight behind, telling them that he is going to come back for them once he has defeated the boss. The girl in the group actually wants to go with Jinwoo, and Kim Chul thinks that she is quite foolish, but she is sure that Kim Chul didn't notice the arrow earlier, whispering to Jinwoo that he doesn't seem like an E-rank hunter. She is sure that he is a rank or even higher, and Kim Chul states that he will take the main road, so Jinwoo offers to head towards the forest. After a while Kim Chul's party comes across some claw marks on trees, and he explains that they have entered the territory of the ice bear. He is sure that those E-ranks are going to be killed, and he senses some ice bears. They soon get surrounded, and one of the bear attacks them, but Kim Chul blocks with his shield, cutting it in half with his axe. He heads to fight the other 2 as well, and elsewhere the girl stops Jinwoo's party, asking him if they didn't notice all those scratches in the trees. She explains that this is the territory of the ice bear, telling them to turn back before they encounter those beasts, but Jinwoo suggests that they should go deeper. He mentions that if this is the territory of the ice bear, then they will only have to worry about the ice bears, and they are weaker than the elves. The girl realizes that no other magic beast will come near this area because of the sheer number of ice bears, and Jinwoo notices that it has gotten quite cold. He brings out some coats from his inventory, handing them over to everyone, and they are surprised that he is able to use subspace magic. They put on the coats, thinking that they are quite cozy, and Song-yi asks him who he really is. He mentions that he is going to protect her since he is the one who brought her here, but he hopes that she won't ask him any questions, and he wishes that the others will do the same. Just then an ice bear shows up there, and Jinwoo changes his title to Wolf Assassin to fight it. Meanwhile outside of the gate, Yoonho thinks that this gate is bad news, sure that only the high-ranking hunters might survive this. He pins his hopes on Kim Chul, and Sang-min informs him that aside from the assault team, there are others who have entered the gate. One of them is Sung Jinwoo, and Yoonho wonders what rank he is. Sang-min mentions that he is an E rank, but he might have reawakened. However, he is not sure of this since Jinwoo never confirmed his suspicions. Yoonho is not too optimistic about this, and just then Dong-soo arrives there with Jinchul. Yoonho is not glad to see him here, asking him what he is doing here, since he was supposed to be in America. Dong-soo is not too keen on answering his questions, asking why he had to let an E-rank hunters enter this gate when he was not even in his guild. He clarifies that he is talking about Jinwoo, and Yoonho wonders how this guy knows him. Dong-soo is disappointed to see a red gate in front of him, thinking that he might not even get to see Jinwoo, as he is most probably going to die inside of there. Jinchul thinks that Jinwoo is quite lucky, as he won't have to face Dong-soo since he is inside of a red gate right now, but he is not sure if he will be able to make it out alive. At the same time, we see Jinwoo defeating the last of the ice bears, and he also manages to level up. The girl in the team wonders who he really is, but he stays silent. Later we see everyone eating some bear meat, and they are surprised that Jinwoo managed to take down all of those bears single-handedly. The girl thinks that they still can't let their guard down, since the lair of the monsters must be nearby, and Song-yi surprisingly wonders why Jinwoo has gone out for exercise after dinner even though he just fought a bunch of monsters. She thinks that he is quite a strange person, and the others agree. Elsewhere we see Jinwoo outside the lair of the ice bears, and he summons his shadow army for a test drive. They fight the bears and easily manage to cut them down, But some of the bears also manage to rip apart members of his shadow army. However, his army uses his mana to regenerate quickly. The mages provide them support, and Jinwoo thinks that these guys have exceeded his expectations, but they sure consume a lot of mana. Just then the boss of the ice bears shows up, and it manages to wipe out his entire shadow army in one fell swoop, chipping away at all of Jinwoo's mana, and leaving him unable to regenerate his army anymore. Jinwoo then sends in Igris, and the bear attacks him, but he dodges, slicing the bear, and within a matter of seconds, he brings the beast to its knees. The beast still tries to attack him, but he beheads it before it can do anything. Seeing this, Jinwoo thinks that he would have definitely lost to Igris if he had used his sword in their fight, and even at his current level Igris might be stronger than him. He compliments Igris on a job well done, and the scene changes to Kim Chul's party fighting elves. We notice that everyone besides him is dead, and Kim Chul can't believe this. He thinks that he was just about to become an elite member of the White Tiger Guild, and he gets scared seeing the elves end the last member of his party, so he runs away. Elsewhere, Jinwoo uses his skills to make the fallen ice bears a part of his army, and since he manages to awaken all of them, he is thrilled. Meanwhile, in the outside world, we find out that 3 hours have passed since the gate opened, and it's been 3 days inside. Dong-soo thinks that Sung Jinwoo must have died, trying to leave, but he remembers that Jinwoo is not actually a part of the White Tiger Guild, wondering what he is doing inside this gate. Sang-min tells him that Jinwoo is one of his friends, and he was interested in AC rank quest, so he let him in. Dong-soo continues on his way hearing this, and Sang-min feels relieved, but suddenly Dong-soo grabs him by the neck, asking him what his end goal is. Yoon-ho doesn't keep quiet seeing this, grabbing Dong-soo's hand, asking him to let go, and the two of them have a disagreement. They both release their powers, and Sang-min thinks that it would be bad if 2S rank hunters start fighting. They both trade blows, causing a big energy blast, and inside the gate we see Kim Chul shivering in the cold. He thinks that he wouldn't have lost if he had gear to deal with this cold, and he comes across the corpses of the ice bear that Jinwoo slayed. He is surprised to see them, wondering if the E-rank party did this, but he is sure that they don't have the strength to, so it must have been done by the ice elves. He runs away from the place at once, and back outside the gate we see Jinchul has stopped the 2S rank hunters from fighting. They are impressed by him, and he mentions that he was only able to do this because they held back. He tells Dong-soo that he doesn't know what he is suspecting, but he checked Jinwoo's power 2 months ago, and he is indeed an E-rank hunter. He mentions that according to their investigation the magic beasts were responsible for killing his brother, but Dong-soo thinks that it's a lie. He is sure that Jin-ho was the one who killed his brother, and Jinchul asks him why he is going after Jinwoo in this case. He reveals that it's just an excuse to kill, and just then he gets a message, leaving abruptly, thinking that Jinwoo is a lucky guy. Sang-min is sure that Jinwoo is going to return alive, as he knows his strength quite well, and inside the gate we see the members of Jinwoo's party having coffee and chilling. Kim Chul notices them, surprised to see that they are still alive, and he can see that they have warm clothes and tents, thinking that he lost because they refused to share those with him. He heads towards them in anger, telling them that the assault team has been annihilated, and it was because they hogged all the food and gear. They get scared to see him enraged, and he thinks that Jin must have known this, and this is why he joined Jinwoo's team. He asks them to confess, or he is going to kill all of them, and he gives them until the count of 3. Jinwoo's party prepares to fight him, and just as his 3 count is over, Jinwoo sends him flying across the snow field. He can't believe that Kim Chul got his teammates killed, and he has even brought trouble for them. He asks the ice elves hiding around to come out, as he knows of their presence, and they undo their camouflage. The others are scared to see such a large group, thinking that they are outnumbered, and seeing the ice elf on the horse, Jinwoo realizes that this must be the boss of this dungeon. The leader of the ice elves then mentions that there seems to be someone useful among the humans, and Jinwoo can understand him surprising everyone. Jinwoo also wonders why he can understand him, thinking that it must be because he is a player. The leader of the elves thinks that this is perfect, telling him that one of his subordinates wanted to fight him, and Jinwoo offs him in an instant, asking him to continue. The boss thinks that this is interesting, and the two cross blades. Jinwoo manages to take down his horse, and he realizes that this fight is going to get drawn out. The leader thinks that Jinwoo is interesting, but he is sure that he is not actually human, asking him why he is mingling among them. Jinwoo doesn't understand what he means, and he explains that whenever they fight a human, they hear a voice which tells them to kill them, but when he is facing Jinwoo he can't hear that at all. Jinwoo wonders if this is something similar to the system commands, and the boss of the elves might not be able to hear anything while facing him because he is a player. The boss then tells him that there is no need for them to fight, asking him to hand over the humans behind him, and he will spare him. Jinwoo doesn't seem interested in this, asking him who he is, and why he is fighting humans. The boss explains their origins, but Jinwoo can't hear him, wondering what just happened. He simply refuses the offer that the boss made, and the boss reminds him that he is outnumbered, but Jinwoo summons his army, and everyone is surprised to see them. At first, they think that these are monsters, but noticing their unusual appearance, they realize that Jinwoo has summoned these creatures. The boss thinks that he is struggling in futility, and he tells his forces to attack Jinwoo's army, and the boss's forces then start to fight, and Jinwoo's army manages to cut some of them down, and the Ice Elves also fight back the undead army. Meanwhile, Jin and the others retreat, knowing full well that this battle is beyond their abilities. Some Ice Elves try to shoot them, but Jinwoo grabs their arrows, killing them in an instant. He notices that the battle is going well, and his soldiers can't die, but they still need MP, and he is running out of that. He notices that the boss of the elves seems to be stronger than him, and the boss attacks him, but he blocks, and he thinks that he might not be able to defeat this guy even with Igris. He knows that he needs a stronger combat power to fight this guy, as regular soldiers aren't going to be of any help, and the boss introduces himself as Baruka, asking Jinwoo's name, and Jinwoo introduces himself as well. The two of them cross blades at never-seen-before speeds, and Baruka manages to land a kick on Jinwoo. He loves this battle, and one of Jinwoo's mages hit him with a fireball. Just then Kim Chul wakes up, noticing Jinwoo in front of him, and he charges at him hellbent on taking him out. On the other side, Baruka is fine after the spell, and he charges at Jinwoo as well, trapping him in a pincer attack. Jinwoo summons Igris, who creates a smokescreen, and he kills Kim Chul as well. Kim Chul realizes that Jinwoo anticipated this attack, and Jinwoo extracts his soul, making him one of his minions. Kim Chul's shadow then attacks Baruka, sending him back, and Jinwoo decides to name his new army member Iron. Iron uses his skills as a tank, directing Baruka's aggro at himself, and Baruka crosses his weapons with him, thinking that he is powerful but he is slow. Meanwhile, the hunters hiding in the forest wonder if this is how hunters are supposed to fight, and they think that they can never be a hunter if this is true. They hope that they are dreaming, and meanwhile Baruka gets bored of fighting Iron, thinking that he is no match for him, and he asks Igris and Jinwoo to face him at once. The two of them take him up on the challenge, charging straight at him, and they cross blades for a while with no one coming out on top. Iron then uses his tank skills once more to get Baruka's attention, and while Baruka recovers from an attack by him, Jinwoo manages to get a hit in using his knife. He notices that Baruka still managed to avoid his vital spots, and Baruka backs off, telling him that he is underestimating him. Jinwoo mentions that he might be strong, but the same can't be said about his men as well, and he notices that all of his men are dead. Baruka thinks that he is outnumbered now, but he charges at Jinwoo, sure that those guys won't be an issue if he defeats him. Jinwoo throws his dagger at him, and Baruka thinks of him as a fool for abandoning his weapon, but Jinwoo uses his ruler's hand skill to attack Baruka from behind, breaking one of his daggers. Just then Iron takes him by surprise, grabbing him, and the mages hit him with several fireball spells. However, Baruka still stands, and Jinwoo drives his knife inside of him, revealing that he was using his stealth skill. Baruka still thinks that it's not over, and Iron lands the finishing blow using his hammer. This defeats Baruka, and Jinwoo gains 2 levels. He notices that Iron is still hitting Baruka even though he is dead, and he stops him, telling him to not go too far. He gets worried about his future, and we notice that Iron has already become an outcast in the Shadow Army. Afterwards, Jinwoo tells the other hunters that it's over, and the portal leading outside shows up. Jinwoo states that they should leave, and everyone is happy to hear this. However, before they leave, Jinwoo tries to make Baruka a member of his Shadow Army. Meanwhile, outside the gate, 7 hours have passed, and they are surprised that the gate hasn't been cleared in a week. Sang-min tells Yoonho to get back to the guild and rest, but Yoonho decides to wait since members of his guild are still inside. Just then the gate reacts, and they notice 2 shadows coming out. It's the 2 members of his guild, and right after them Jinwoo and Song-yi come out. The gate then closes, and Yoonho wonders where the other hunters are. He finds out that they are dead, surprised that only low-level hunters survived, and Jinwoo tries to leave with Song-yi. However, Yoonho stops him, asking to have a word with him. Jinwoo is pissed, telling him to ask his guild members about whatever he wants to know, and Yoonho gets furious, telling him that 6 members of his guild died, and he needs an explanation. Jinwoo doesn't back down, glaring back at him, and telling him that he should first thank him as he saved 2 members of his guild. Yunho calms down, thinking that he is right, and he thanks Jinwoo, letting him go. When Jinwoo leaves, he asks Hee-jin why Jinwoo seems mad, and she states that he just got in a bad mood after defeating the boss. She thinks that he must be exhausted, and Yunho asks Sang-min to make sure to bring that guy into their guild. Afterwards we see Jinwoo dropping off Song-yi, and Song-yi thanks him, referring to him casually. This surprises him, and she heads inside her apartment. Jinwoo then drives back to his house, and on his way, he explains that he only got the knife out of this mission. He reveals that he was unable to awaken Baruka since there was a major gap in their strengths, and he thinks that he worked all day for nothing. The next morning, while washing up at his house, he thinks that this was the 3rd time he killed someone, and he heads out to have breakfast with Jin-ah. He then meets Jin-ho outside of his house, telling him that they should head out, and along the way they pick up Song-yi as well. She refers to Jinwoo casually again, and Jin-ho is surprised to see this. They talk about their quest from the other day, and Jin-ho misunderstands them, thinking that the 2 of them must have spent the night together, since they are sitting close as well. He tells Jinwoo that Song-yi is still underage, but Jinwoo can't see the problem with this, and this further complicates the misunderstanding. The scene then cuts to Jinwoo's shadow army taking care of monsters in a dungeon, and Jin-ho is surprised to see this, asking Jinwoo what's happening. Jinwoo remembers that this is the first time he has shown Jin-ho this, and he tells him that this is one of his skills, and Jin-ho wonders what this means. Jinwoo states that it's a little complicated to explain, and when his soldiers are done exterminating the monsters, he puts them to work, mining mana crystals. Seeing this, Jin-ho can't believe that there is nothing for him to do here, and elsewhere in another dungeon we see some hunters afraid of another hunter, thinking of him as a monster. The hunter tries to talk to them, but they don't understand him, since he is not speaking English. He thinks that he doesn't know much English, but he still manages to relay to them that he is human and he wants to go home. The scene then cuts to Jin-ho and Jinwoo celebrating their completion of 19 quests as they were supposed to, and Jinwoo asks Jin-ho what his plans are next. Jin-ho states that he is going to take the written test at the association, and get the guildmaster license. He reveals that he is going to use the license as a bargaining chip with his father, asking Jinwoo what he is going to do. Jinwoo mentions that he needs to go somewhere, so Jin-ho might not be able to contact him for a while, and Jin-ho thinks that Jinwoo is only saying this because he finds him annoying and doesn't want anything to do with him. He states that he is not going to bother him anymore if this is the case, and Jinwoo wonders if he is drunk. Jin-ho then tells him that his older brother is 10 years older than him, and he doesn't really like him. They have never even spent time together as brothers, and compared to him Jinwoo saved his life, and even agreed to his request. He wishes that Jinwoo were his older brother instead, and Jinwoo pours him a glass of beer, making a toast, and telling him that he is his younger brother from now on. Jin-ho is happy to hear this, and they both drink up. Elsewhere we see the man from earlier locked up in a prison cell, and the guards outside talk about if he has been identified yet. One of them mentions that the guy is claiming to be a foreign hunter, and he was trapped in a gate 10 years ago. He later found himself in a gate leading to the United States, and the guards think that this is unprecedented. One of them asks the other if they have managed to find out anything else, and the other states that the guy can't speak English well, so this is all they were able to find out. He mentions that they will need to get an interpreter to investigate him, but they still can't rule out the possibility that he is a humanoid beast. They wonder what they are supposed to do with him, and one of them reveals that they have already requested the help of an S-rank hunter who is his compatriot. We find out that they have requested Hwang Dong-soo for this, and he is on his way here right now. They think that they will be able to proceed with their investigation once Dong-soo comes here, and the guards reveal that this hunter's name is Sung Il-hwan. Elsewhere we see Jinwoo leaving his house, telling his sister that he is going on a trip, and he won't be back for a week. Jin-ah thinks that he has been busy lately as he just came back from work, and he tells her that he has lots of things to do. Jin-ah playfully asks him who he is going with, and he tells her that it's just a friend, but she thinks that he has gotten himself a girlfriend, teasing him about it as he leaves. Later we see Jinwoo in the instance dungeon he went to earlier, and he thinks that when he fought the Cerberus his level was around 20, but now it has tripled, so he should be able to face anything that comes his way. He opens the gate to the demon castle, and he receives a quest as he goes inside. He finds out that this demon castle is teeming with demons, and he will have to collect 10,000 demon souls as part of the quest. As he enters the first floor of the dungeon, he finds a bunch of demons, and he thinks that it doesn't matter how many of these monsters they throw at him, as he is here for the elixir of life, and he won't be leaving without it. He prepares to fight, and the scene changes to Jinho asking his father to hand over the guild he is going to create to him, showing him his guild master license. His father is surprised that he is making this request even though he knows his brother's plans, and Jinho mentions that it would be too risky to have an outsider become the guild master. His father changes the subject, talking about Sung Jinwoo, and he mentions that he has heard this hunter's name being brought in some of the recent interesting raids. It started with the double dungeon, and then there was the matter with Hwang Dong-suk. Afterwards it was the supervision department's killing of prisoners, and in all of these incidents Jinwoo came out unscathed. He also participated in all of the raids that Jinho organized, and in the Red Gate incident involving the Wild Tiger Guild a few days ago, it is said that it was Jinwoo who was responsible for bringing out the survivors. His father is sure that Jinho acquired this license thanks to this guy's help, and he is surprised that he still wants him to hand over the guild to him. Jinho acts bold, asking his father to still hand over the guild, and to his surprise his father agrees to let him give it a try, but only if he manages to make Jinwoo join his guild before the Wild Tiger Guild snags him. Meanwhile in the demon castle we see that Jinwoo has defeated all the demons around him, but he is unable to make them into his shadow soldiers for some reason. He thinks that it's a pity, as there are many demons here, and he acquires an item called the entry permit which grants him access to the second floor of the dungeon. He finds out that he will have to head to the magic circle to use this thing, and he thinks that it would be a pain to walk all the way there, so he summons his Shadow Ice Bear boss to hitch a ride. As he tries to ride out of the place, some demons block his way, but the Ice Bear charges right through them, laying waste to them as it moves forward. Seeing this Jinwoo decides to refer to the bear as Tank, and the scene cuts to a gym in the Hunter Guild. We see Cha-hae-in coming out of the pool after swimming for a while, and the people around are mesmerized to see how beautiful she is. Hae-in seems lost in thought, and she recalls that earlier she asked Guildmaster Choi about why he is trying to keep the information about those winged ants a secret from the public, and only revealing it to a select few. Choi told her that these are the orders that he received from the association, and they believe that disclosing the information right now would just cause unnecessary panic. He told her to not worry about it, informing her that right now they just need to bolster their strength, and become the largest guild in the country to fight against that threat. Meanwhile in the demon castle, we see Jinwoo defeating some more demons, and he thinks that he expected this dungeon to be tougher when he received its key, but the demons here seem to be just B rank. He gets another entry permit, heading to the 7th floor, and he kills the demons there as well, thinking that numbers are all these beasts have going for them. He realizes that as long as he focuses on taking down the beasts with the permit scrolls, he can climb up with ease, and as he fights, his ruler's hand skill levels up. We then see him taking a food break, and he thinks that this tower should have around 100 floors. He resumes fighting, wondering how strong he is going to become once he is through all of the floors, and he keeps collecting the souls of the demons as he moves forward in the dungeon. He then takes another food break, and he realizes that his supplies are not going to last for long if he keeps this up. He decides to speed things along, moving from one floor to another, and after a long series of fights he finally manages to collect 10,000 demon souls. We notice that he has climbed up to the 50th floor, and he finds an army of demons in front of him, and leading them is the lord of the lower floors named Avaricious Vulcan, and his name is in red so he is a threat. Meanwhile in the outside world we see Sang-min sitting in his car which is parked outside of Jinwoo's apartment, and his lady associate comes there, telling him that Jinwoo is not here right now. According to his sister, he has gone out on a trip, and even she is not aware where he has gone. She thinks that they have come all this way in vain, and Sang-min thinks that there are no records of him crossing the border, so he should still be in this country, but he hasn't taken on any raid missions as of late. He recalls that his last known location was the center of the urban area, and the lady asks him how he even knows this. He mentions that this is just part of his job, and he wonders where Jinwoo might be right now. Back in the demon castle, Jinwoo tells his shadow army to fight the grunts, and leave the boss to him. The shadow army and the grunts engage in a fight with Igris blowing past the monsters with ease. Jinwoo thinks that thanks to him increasing his intelligence, his mana capacity and efficiency has gone up, and now he can use his shadow army more efficiently. He then wonders how long the boss is just going to sit there, thinking that he will have to make the first move if it doesn't, but just then the boss makes a swift move, attacking his army. Jinwoo gets pissed punching him away, and even he is surprised by the power of his punch, thinking that he might have put too many points to his strength. The boss uses the same skill as Cerberus to increase its power, and it charges at Jinwoo to attack him, but Jinwoo borrows Iron Shield to defend himself. The boss keeps landing blows after blows on him, but his shield doesn't give out, and he jumps at the boss to attack it when he sees an opening. However, the boss attacks as well, and he barely manages to dodge using his leveled-up ruler's hand. Jinwoo realizes that this monster can read his moves, and he runs away, thinking that he needs to restrict its movements first. He wonders how, and he notices a destroyed building in front of him, climbing atop it. The monster can't chase after him, and he slices it apart. After defeating the monster, he gets a fragment of the world tree as a drop item, and elsewhere we see that Dong-Su has arrived to investigate Il-Hwan. He mentions that this is the first time he has seen a humanoid magic beast, and Il-Hwan clarifies that he is a human. Dong-Su asks him to just shut up and speak only when he has any questions for him, but Il-Hwan refuses to keep his mouth shut, asking Dong-Su how much humans know about the gates and magic beasts. Dong-Su is not sure what he is getting at, and he mentions that dungeon gates and magic beasts are just premonitions, and the worst catastrophic force has finally awakened. Dong-Su wonders what that is, and he mentions that he can only say that it's the worst disaster ever. His goal is to prevent this disaster from happening, and Dong-Su thinks that he is just spouting nonsense, asking him if he is even aware how many hunters there are in this world. Il-Hwan tells him that out of that large number, a number of people will be powerless in the face of this force, and they will only be devoured. While he blabbers on, Dong-Su checks out his file, and he notices that Il-Hwan also has 2 kids and a wife. He asks him if he remembers the name of his son, and Il-Hwan reveals that he is named Jinwoo. Hearing the name, Dong-Su gets a murderous aura, and he tells Il-Hwan that his son is already dead. He channels his energy, telling Il-Hwan that he is going to meet him in hell, and Il-Hwan also releases his power. Meanwhile in the demon castle we see Jinwoo fighting another boss monster in the 75th floor, and we notice that this battle is quite one-sided. He goes straight to the boss, and he defeats him with a single strike. This gains him a few levels, and back at the American prison, we notice the building where Dong-Su and Il-Hwan were has been destroyed. The guards talk about how this is the first time they have seen a fight between S-rank heroes, and they are glad that the other guy defeated Dong-Su quickly or the destruction would be catastrophic. Back at the demon castle, Jinwoo finally runs out of food, and he thinks that this is as far as he can go this time. He speculates that since he is on the 75th floor right now, there must be 25 more floors to go, and he checks out his drop items, glad that the trip was worth it. He wears the necklace he got from the boss just now, and the earring that he got from the boss earlier, and he notices that after combining them both as his armor, all of his stats have improved by 5 points. He thinks that what's even more interesting is the window of equipping these items, as it shows that he needs another item to complete the set. He is sure that there must be another boss-level monster in this place, and he shows that he also got an avaricious glass. He explains that it's of no use to him, but if he gives it to his magic soldiers, their power will be doubled. He reveals that he also got the cursed random loot box from the quest of collecting 10,000 demon souls, and he opens up the box, finding another key inside. He notices that there is no information available on the key, and it will be available when he has met the requirements. Jinwoo thinks that these are great rewards, but they are not what he came here for, and he comes to the main topic, revealing that he now has the world tree fragment and the echo forest water. He mentions that he already has 2 of the 3 materials he needs for the elixir of life, and he just needs another item to be able to save his mother, deciding to get it the next time he comes here. Afterwards Jinwoo exits the instance dungeon, and he thinks that he just needs the purified Demon King's blood now. He knows that he has to be fully prepared in order to obtain that thing, and he notices that his level has increased significantly after his recent trip. However, he is still ranked E, and he can continue leveling up, but he won't be able to participate in high-level raid missions as an E-rank hunter. He realizes that it's time for him to drop this facade, and show the world who he truly is by having his rank reassessed. The next day, Jinwoo goes to have his rank reassessed, and we see that Ki-chul, Sangmin's sidekick, is also here to scout out hunters. He checks out the hunters, guessing what ranks they are going to get, and he notices that Jinwoo is among them as well. He quickly makes a call to Yunho, informing him that Hunter Jinwoo has come to get his rank reassessed, and Yunho leaves whatever he is doing to head towards the assessment center at once. Meanwhile we see Jinwoo waiting to get his rank reassessed, and he notices his neighbor telling one of the worried hunters to not be nervous as the test is simple. The worried man reveals his problem, that he has to earn money by becoming a hunter or his wife and daughter are going to leave him. The other guy tells him to not worry too much, as he can easily make a living as long as he has a rank better than E, and he shows him the recruiters telling him that they are going to make an offer to anyone above rank E. Hearing this, Jinwoo thinks that this is how it has always been for E-rank hunters, and he gets summoned inside for his test. The examiner notices that he is here for a reassessment, thinking that he must know the procedure, and she asks him to place his hand on the black crystal and wait. Jin Woo does as he is told, but the examiner looks worried, noticing that there is an error in the machine. She asks Jin Woo to give it another go, and the same thing happens again. She keeps trying over and over, but nothing changes, and the examiner's superior comes there, asking her if something is wrong. She informs him that something is wrong with the machine as it's showing an error every time, and he thinks that this can't be possible, conducting the test himself. The same error pops up once more, and he tells her that this is not a mechanical failure, this indicates the machine's inability to evaluate Jin Woo's magical power. He explains that Jin Woo's power has exceeded the machine's limit, and the girl realizes that Jin Woo is this country's 10th S-rank hunter. Meanwhile, outside the evaluation center, Choi asks Jinchul how the research on the winged ants is proceeding, and Jinchul tells him that the investigative department has conducted an autopsy, and they are comparing the current sample with those in the past. They are still going to need some time to reach a conclusion, and Choi understands, changing the topic, and telling him that he recently heard about the Red Gate incident. He mentions that the White Tiger Guild allowed a non-member to participate in the raid, and even let him take down the boss. He asks Jinchul who the guy is, but Jinchul tells him that he has no idea, revealing that he was present at the time of the raid, but he left before it ended. Choi is disappointed to hear this, and he can notice a commotion inside. They both decide to check it out, and inside the center, everyone is surprised to find out that they were unable to evaluate Jin Woo's power. They think that this is the first time they are seeing something like this in person, and the examiner asks Jin Woo to come back here in 3 days for a re-evaluation, as a regular machine won't be able to determine his power. Ki Chol watches Jin Woo from afar, thinking that it's just like Sang Ming expected, and he knows that he just needs to strike a conversation now. Just then Choi and Jinchul enter the building, and Jin Woo recognizes him as the strongest fire mage, called the Ultimate Hunter. Choi notices Jin Woo's aura, realizing that he is the one behind the commotion, and Jin Woo heads towards him, so he tries to strike a conversation in order to invite him to his guild, but Jin Woo walks right by him. Everyone is surprised to see this, and Choi wonders what just happened, asking Jinchul if he forgot to introduce himself, but Jinchul mentions that he did. However, Jin Woo walked past him despite this. They then notice that Jin Woo has disappeared, and they think that he must be an assassin type. Right afterwards Yunho enters the center, and seeing that he ran here at his earliest, makes Choi realize that Jin Woo is the hunter who cleared the Red Gate, and he is sure that Jin Woo must be worthy of such an act. He then leaves the center, and Yunho is awestruck to see him, thinking that he is the last person whom he wanted to find out about this. At night, we see Jin Woo sitting beside his mother, and he leaves asking her mother to wait for him a little longer. Outside the room he meets Jinchul, who tells him that Jin Woo has proven him wrong. He mentions that the job of their surveillance team is to monitor hunters and punish those who break the law. He used to be confident in his ability to judge people, but Jin Woo has proven him wrong. As Jin Woo leaves, he asks him if he is an object of surveillance as well, and Jinchul informs him that they are not monitoring him as a criminal. He mentions that the surveillance division is the only one that can control the hunters, but S-rank hunters are even beyond their control. Jin Woo still keeps heading towards the exit, and Jinchul stops him telling him that someone wants to meet with him. Gun Hee then enters the scene, introducing himself as the chairman of the Hunter Association, and they sit down for a relaxing talk. Firstly, Gun Hee congratulates Jin Woo on becoming an S-rank hunter, and Jin Woo is confused, but Gun Hee tells him that reassessment is just a formality, and the moment the machine was unable to determine his power, he became an S-ranked hunter. Jin Woo wonders why the reassessment was arranged in this case, and Gun Hee tell him that it was the grace period so that the association can secure a chance to meet with him before anyone else. He explains that the Hunter Association has a large number of hunters, but great hunters are not many, and most of them who are great seek to join guilds in order to gain fame and money. He states that Jinchul is one of the top experts in the association, but he is only ranked A, and they are in need of someone stronger. He asks Jin Woo to join them, telling him that he will arrange the most important position in the association for him. He explains that the government no longer controls this country, it's the hunters who do, and at the center of all this are the 5 major guilds. These behemoths are barely maintaining a balance, and if Jin Woo joins either of them, the balance is going to be disturbed. Therefore, he asks Jin Woo to join the association, and make them the 6th major power, so they can control the guilds. He wonders what Jin Woo thinks, and Jin Woo seriously considers the offer, thinking that it might be a good chance for him. He notices that Gun He is a strong hunter and he is the first S-ranked hunter of this country who possesses overwhelming power, and a physique which doesn't show that he is over 80 years old. He thinks that even though he has stepped back from the front lines, he is still as strong as him. He knows that his life is going to change for the better if he accepts this invitation, but he still refuses, and Gun He thinks that he has chosen money like everyone else, but Jin Woo tells him that he longs for battle. He mentions that the dungeon is the place where he belongs, and hearing his words Gun He's old heart starts to race. He thinks that it's been a while since he has had this feeling, and if he were 10 years younger, he would have loved to fight by this man. He decides to not force Jin Woo any further, and Jin Woo takes his leave. Gun He then states that he was disappointed when he found out that even S-rank healers can't reverse age, and he asks Jinchul to cancel all his appointments for the day, as he doesn't want to be disturbed right now. Meanwhile, Jin Woo thinks that he needs to get stronger as soon as he can in order to cure his mother, and he mentions that he doesn't have the luxury of sitting idle. Back in America, we notice Dong-soo in a hospital bed, and he finally regains consciousness. The deputy director comes there, and he tells Dong-soo that there is a question that he would like to ask him. He asks Dong-soo if Il Huang is really a magical beast, and Dong-soo tells him that what he saw was definitely not the power of a human, so he must be a magic beast. The deputy director understands, trying to leave, but Dong-soo asks him what he is going to do about that man. He mentions that the administration is tracking him down right now, but they are not sure whether or not they will be able to catch him, as he defeated Dong-soo. He leaves, and Dong-soo recalls that after Il Huang defeated him, he asked him to stay away from his family, or he is not going to leave him alone even in hell. Dong-soo oozes with anger just thinking about that moment, and he thinks that he is going to need a strong artifact to defeat that guy. It is explained that artifacts are man-made relics, and in the hunter's world it refers to high-level equipment that even skilled craftsmen have trouble creating. We notice Jin Woo browsing some artifacts on an online auction site, and he can't find anything good. Everything is also expensive, and he thinks that he wants to be fully prepared before he tackles the demon castle. He can't see anything in the store that catches his eye, and he checks out his sphere of avarice, which can double the damage caused by magic. He thinks that there are many items in the market which can increase magical damage by 20 to 30%, but there are none which can double this altogether. He thinks that this is going to sell for a high price if he decides to sell it, but there are definitely going to be questions about where he got this from, as he is an E-rank hunter. He thinks that he could have used a record of a rank A raid completion if he had won, but he can't even participate in those raids as an E-rank hunter. Just then he comes across a job offer from the Hunters Guild, which is post online. They are looking to hire miners for their large-scale expedition, and there is no rank requirement. Meanwhile, we see Gun He checking out their files on Jin Woo, and he notices that Jin Woo looks completely different from 4 months earlier. He wonders if he is actually a false ranker, but Jinchul tells him that he is not, as he has gotten injured several times while exploring low-ranked dungeons. He reveals that Jin Woo became a hunter to raise funds for his sick mother, and pay his sister tuition fees. Gun He is surprised how devoted he is towards his family, and Jinchul tells him that Jin Woo has just joined the Hunters Guild raid mission. Gun He is disappointed in him, thinking that he might not have been able to resist the sign-up bonus, but Jinchul tells him that he has actually joined the mining team, and Gun He has no idea what he is thinking. Meanwhile, we notice Jin Woo at the gate site, and he gets accepted as a miner based on his strength since he is a combat-type hunter. Jin Woo then explains that for large-scale gates like those which are rank A, a large number of people are needed. Firstly, there are assault teams which fight the monsters, the mining team for mining mana stones, and recovery team for collecting monster corpses. He mentions that since this many people are mobilized, the reward is huge as well, and meanwhile inside the dungeon we notice Guild Master Choi fighting the monsters on his own. He burns them down using his fire magic, and the tanks protect him and the rest of the team from any damage because of Choi's flames. We notice that the monsters have been toasted, and Choi moves forward to hunt the rest of the monsters. A little later the assault team comes out of the dungeon, and Jin Woo thinks that they must have defeated every monster except for the boss, so that the gate doesn't close up. He thinks that Choi must be really strong, as he managed to lead everyone out of a rank A gate without any problems. The miners then talk about the second in command of the Hunters Guild who comes out of the gate, and we notice that it's Cha Hae-in. Jin Woo checks out her aura, noticing that she is strong, and for a moment, she manages to sense a strong aura as well, but it soon disappears, and she wonders if it was just her imagination. Jin Woo thinks that she is more perceptive than he imagined, and he decides to get to work. The miners enter the gate, and we see them digging out the mana stones. More than stones, Jin Woo is interested in the rank A boss, thinking that he would like to see it for himself at least once. He then hears his fellow miners talking about his E-rank qualifications behind his back, and he thinks that it's the same everywhere. He ignores it, getting to work, and seeing his muscles, everyone wonders if he is really E-ranked. They think that he is really strong, and after they mine for a while, it's time for lunch. Jin Woo still keeps on mining, and the leader of the miners invites him for lunch, but he refuses, telling him that he is only going to rest when he finishes mining this area. The leader and everyone else leave the dungeon, and Jin Woo gets a shrewd look on his face, thinking that this is his chance to see the boss. He runs to the boss room, and he arrives there, thinking that the boss here must be stronger than any he has faced before. He knows that he shouldn't fight the boss, as it would be a great loss for the Hunters Guild, but he is unable to hold back his urges, and he summons his dagger, trying to head in. However, he is stopped by Cha Hae-in, who asks him what he is doing here. Jin Woo thinks that this was careless of him, and he tells Cha Hae-in that he just got lost and ended up here. She asks him if he is from the mining team, and informs him that this is the boss room, telling him to step back. Jin Woo thinks that Cha Hae-in really lives up to her reputation, as he didn't even hear her coming until she spoke. Hae-in then observes that the dagger she noticed before in Jin Woo's hand is gone, wondering if she was just seeing things. Jin Woo apologizes for wandering off, and she tells him to get out at once, or he might agitate the boss. Jin Woo tries to leave, and as he passes by Hae-in, she notices something peculiar, asking him to stop. He does, and she takes a whiff of him, surprised that he is not smelly. She asks him if he is really a hunter, and she finds out that he is, and he is ranked E. He wonders if something is wrong, but she mentions that it's nothing, asking him to be careful on his way out. As he turns to leave, she wonders if he was not smelly because his rank is too low, and she thinks that he was smelling rather pleasant. Afterwards, we see Jin Woo heading into the dungeon after his break, and his mining buddies are jealous that he got to meet Cha Hae-in when he got lost. They mention that they can only admire her from a distance, and they explain that she always patrols the area to protect them from the boss, and sacrifices her own rest time. Jin Woo realizes that this is why she was around the boss room, and the mining boss tells Jin Woo that she is a bit uncomfortable around the scent of other hunters. The miners explain that it's due to her unique body constitution, and this is why she always covers her nose with a handkerchief. Jin Woo thinks that her reaction to him was quite different, and he wonders if this means that he doesn't have the scent of a hunter. He recalls that the boss of the Red Gate said something similar, and he thinks that it must be because he is a player. He wonders what being a player actually means, but he has no idea. Later we see him getting paid after the mining is over, and the boss of the miners thanks him as they finished early because of him. The miners tell him that he has a talent for this, and the boss also mentions that he has never come across someone like him ever since he has been in this field. He asks him if he would be interested in working for him from now on, telling him that he would be rewarded fairly, but Jin Woo mentions that this is just a one-time thing for him. The boss thinks that this is bad, but he still asks Jin Woo to help them out for one more day, explaining that tomorrow they have back-to-back A and C rank missions. Jin Woo thinks that his re-evaluation test is the day after tomorrow, and he has gotten a grip on the raid process today. However, he is surprised that the Hunter Guild has raid missions back-to-back, and they are going to take care of 2 missions tomorrow. The boss informs him that the 2nd assault team would be handling the missions tomorrow, and Jin Woo is astounded. The boss tells him that the greatest strength of the Hunters Guild is that they have 2 assault teams who can raid rank A gates, and no other guild in the country is capable of this. Jin Woo agrees to come around tomorrow as well after finding this out, and the boss is glad to hear this, telling him that he will talk to his superior about doubling his salary. Jin Woo tells him to not mind it, but the boss insists. At night we see Cha Hae-in asking someone to investigate Sung Jin Woo in the mining team, and she finds out that this person already knows Jin Woo. He explains to her that Choi asked him to do the same thing the other day, however, he can't tell her anything, as all information on him has been sealed by the Hunter Association. He thinks that this is weird as he has never seen the association seal the information of someone who is not a high-level hunter, and Hae-in cuts the call. She lies on her bed, wondering what all this could mean, and she thinks that she has met many hunters until now, but this is the first time she met someone who smells nice. The next day, we notice Jin Woo arriving at the site of the gate, and everyone welcomes him with open arms. This reminds Jin Woo of his earlier hunting days, bringing a smile on his face. They decide to start with the C-rank gate for today, and we notice Jin Woo mining the mana stones like a human excavator. After finishing up the work, he gets something to eat with the others, and the boss compliments him for all his work, telling him that they were only able to finish up early and have this lunch break because of him. He wonders if Jin Woo really doesn't want to work with them, offering to pay him 5 times, but Jin Woo refuses the offer. Afterwards, the captain of the second assault team named Sun Ki-hun comes there, asking to borrow someone from the mining team as their porter couldn't come today. The boss mentions that the recovery team would be better at carrying stuff, and Ki-hun tells him that they said that they were already short-staffed. The boss doesn't seem pleased about this, and Ki-hun offers to give them risk allowance if they accompany them inside the dungeon, but the boss tells him that low-rank hunters like them can't porter in rank A dungeons. He is sure that offering money can't change that, but Ki-hun asks one last time if anyone is interested, and Jin Woo raises his hand. The boss tries to talk him out of it, but Jin Woo tells him to not worry, as he is quite bold. They still try to stop him, telling Ki-hun that he is new here, and doesn't understand what he is getting into, but Ki-hun just asks his rank. Finding out that he is ranked E, he doesn't have any problems taking him with them. They then head to the gate, and Jin Woo notices that this gate is bigger than the one yesterday. Ki-hun mentions that it might be bigger, but its magic power is not as strong as the gate yesterday, assuring him that it's not dangerous, or the second team wouldn't be here. Jin Woo notices that there are 6 rank A and 3 rank B hunters in this team, and it's worthy of being called an assault team even with the absence of an S-rank hunter. They then enter the gate, and Jin Woo thinks that the magic power here is surely less than the other day, but he can feel something ominous, similar to the red gate. The healer of the team tells him to not be nervous, as all the hunters here are really strong, and nothing is going to happen to him as long as he stays with them. Ki-hun thinks that after he completes this raid mission, he will be officially appointed as the captain of this team, and he believes that he can do it, even though he is not as strong as their captain and vice-captain. Just then they sense some monsters ahead, and they get ready at once without any instructions. They are attacked by some dungeon jackals, but they are too weak, and they manage to wipe them out in a matter of seconds. They are surprised to see dungeon jackals here, and Jin Woo wonders if they are rare. The healer tells him that they are C-rank monsters, and it's weird to see them in a rank A dungeon, as weak monsters like these are generally devoured by the stronger monsters. Jin Woo notices that they have collars around their necks, revealing that these jackals were being raised as hunting dogs by someone. Just then some more monsters approach them, and they notice that it's an army of high orcs. One of them attacks them, throwing a spear, and Ki-hun barely manages to block the attack. They charge at him, and the tank uses his taunt skill, but it's ineffective, and the monsters target the people in the back. However, one of them manages to repel them, but the monsters takes no damage, as they have high magic resistance. The mage of the party binds the monster, but she is not able to hold it back since it's too strong, and the fire mage summons 2 fire soldiers to assist her. The fire soldiers fight the orcs, and meanwhile we notice the others fighting as well. The orcs manage to injure the martial artist on the team, and they ask the healer to heal her, but she is already busy healing the tank. Ki-hun thinks that they are really outnumbered here, thinking that this might be it for them, and the orcs manage to cut off one of the hunter's arms. Ki-hun hopes that no one will die here, and the healer heals the hunter who just lost an arm, regenerating his arm entirely, while the bespectacled mage holds back the orcs. Just then an orc shows up behind the healer, and she accepts her impending death, but Jin Woo kills the orc using his ruler's hand, ripping out its spine. The healer wonders what just happened, and Jin Woo uses his stealth skill to assist the other hunters, attacking the orcs to weaken them without being noticed. The hunters are surprised to see the orcs weaken all of a sudden, but they make most of the situation, launching a full-scale offensive, and killing the orcs one after the other. Jin Woo thinks that he doesn't really want to stand out as an outsider here, but he refuses to let people die on his watch, and he continues weakening the monsters in secret. The other hunters manage to take care of the rest, and they soon wipe out all the orcs. Ki-hun then asks everyone if they are alright, and he is glad to find out that they are. The healer tells him that something weird happened during the battle, and Ki-hun mentions that he also felt the monsters get a lot weaker all of a sudden. He asks the mages if they did it, but they mention that they did not, and this shouldn't be possible without an assassin-type hunter. They decide to not think much about it, since they won at the end, and they assume that they were just lucky. Meanwhile, the bespectacled mage of the party thinks that their porter has really underestimated their party, revealing that he should have expected his stealth skill to be detected since they have a magic caster on the team. She decides to not spill the beans about this, thinking that he must have his reasons, and she owes him this much since he helped them survive. The hunters then ask their captain if they should still keep going, or they should fall back, revealing that if they want to tackle a dungeon like this, they at least need 2 more healers and 3 more mages. They strongly suggest retreating, and the leader takes a bit of time to think about it. Jin Woo thinks that he can understand not retreating from a dungeon, but he hopes that the leader will make the right decision. The leader decides to withdraw, and everyone is glad to hear this. They arrive at the gate leading outside, but they notice that the gate has been sealed by a barrier. They recall that this thing was not here when they entered the dungeon, and the mages go ahead to remove the barrier, glad that they chose to retreat since this dungeon has an entity capable of such high-level magic. Everyone then senses a wave of high levels of magic power, and they wonder if this was the boss. The mages decide to hurry and remove the barrier, and Jinwoo wonders why such a magical fluctuation was not detected when they were outside, as even a B-rank hunter should be capable of detecting it. Just then the mages start bleeding all over, and the other realize that a curse was placed on the barrier as a trap. The captain asks one of the hunters to cast divine magic, but no one listens to him, so he turns around to see what they are doing, noticing an entire army of orcs behind them. They observe that there are roughly 50 orcs, and the leader of both the group go ahead, meeting each other halfway. The orc leader tries to communicate with them, but they can't understand it, and the shaman of the orcs possesses the leader's body, talking in the human language. The shaman introduces himself as Kargalgan, telling Ki-hun that he wishes to see the humans. Ki-hun asks him if he is the one who blocked the entrance, and the shaman mentions that he did. Ki-hun asks it if there is a stronger being than it in this dungeon, but it mentions that there isn't, and it asks him to choose whether they want to come see him or die at the hands of his soldiers. Ki-hun obviously decides to go meet the shaman face to face, and the orcs lead the way. Meanwhile, he tells Jinwoo that they are going to attack the boss as soon as they arrive at its chamber, and this is surely going to distract it momentarily, making it unable to maintain the barrier. He tells Jinwoo to take this opportunity to escape and inform the other assault team, and Jinwoo wonders if they are planning to get killed. Ki-hun tells him that their mission is to close the gate, not to return alive from the dungeon, and the healer gives Jinwoo a short will, asking him to give this to her family. Jinwoo takes it, but he hopes that it won't come to that, and she tells him that they have to complete this mission, but things are different for him, asking him to make sure that he escapes. Jinwoo thinks that this desperate situation is the same as the double dungeon, but these people are so much different from those people. At the same time, outside the gate we notice Cha-hae in searching for Jinwoo, but she can't find him, wondering if he has resigned from the team. The boss of the mining team notices her, and she asks him about Jinwoo, finding out that he has gone inside the gate as a porter. Back inside the gate, we notice Jinwoo and the others arriving at a throne room, and they are welcomed by Kargalgan and a huge army of orcs. Meanwhile, outside the gate, we notice Cha-hae in wondering why Jinwoo went inside the gate as a porter, as he only has a single life to live. She thinks that she also saw him standing in front of a boss room yesterday with a weapon in hand, and he is kind of suspicious. She tells the leader of the miners that she will head inside to take a look, asking him if they have any weapons around. The leader has nothing but a pickaxe, giving it to her, and she asks him if he has anything else, but he doesn't have anything that resembles a weapon, just some other mining tools. Hae-in decides to go empty-handed in this case, but he asks her if she is going to be fine bare-handed, and she just takes the pickaxe with her. At the same time, the hunters inside the gate are surprised by the sheer number of high orcs, and they think that they can easily raze cities to the ground if this many of them head outside of the gate. They notice that the 4 generals of the army are even stronger than the rest of the group, and the boss orders the orcs to be silent. The orcs stop the thumping noise they have been making, and Ki-hun thinks that their mission is to close the gate, and for this they have to defeat the dungeon boss. The boss then removes his mask, and they are surprised by his overwhelming magical energy. They are crapping their pants thinking that they are nothing compared to him, and Ki-hun asks the boss why he has brought them here. The boss informs them that they are just entertainment, and he mentions that he is going to kill them one by one, and this is going to be the perfect thing to keep his soldiers entertained. Ki-hun and the rest are hit by despair hearing this, and they can't believe that their resolve is nothing but entertainment to them. He thinks that it's like they are toys to be discarded, and noticing Jinwoo, the boss realizes that something strange has sneaked in with the humans. He doesn't mind, and Ki-hun charges at him to attack, ordering the others to do the same, but he notices that no one is joining him as they are all frozen by fear. He attacks the boss by himself, and the boss defends using his magical shield. He then deploys his gravitational magic, crashing Ki-hun on the floor and the ceiling like a powerball. His teammates are devastated to see this, and Jinwoo saves him, resting him on the ground. He thinks that he is not supposed to interfere as this is a mission for the Hunters Guild, but the entire assault team is in danger now, and he can't sit back. One of the orcs tries to attack him, but he stops and kills it using Ruler's hand. He asks Ki-hun if he can leave all the magical beasts here to him, and Ki-hun agrees, as he has no other choice. The boss thinks that he is just being arrogant, releasing his magical power, and Jinwoo mentions that it is his first time feeling such strong presence, but their jobs are naturally opposed. He summons his shadow army, vowing to put an end to the boss. The scene shifts to outside the dungeon, and we notice that the surveillance department led by Jinchul has arrived at the gate. The miners wonder what they are doing here, and Jinchul wonders why Jinwoo would work as a miner here for 2 days. The leader of the miners asks him why he is here, and Jinchul inquires him about Jinwoo. Hearing this, one of the miners with complaints against Jinwoo shows up, stating that he knew that there is something wrong with that guy. Jinchul ignores him, asking the leader of the miners where Jinwoo is, and he finds out that he has gone inside the gate as a porter. Jinchul has no idea what Jinwoo could be thinking, coming here as a miner at first, and then heading inside as a porter. He thinks that after he became an S-rank hunter, every one of his moves are under surveillance, and he wishes that he would at least be conscious of his actions. The leader of the miners wonders what's happening, and Jinchul tells him to watch the news tomorrow, and he will know what's going on. He goes closer to the gate, and the miner leader tells him that Cha Hae-in asked the same question as him just earlier. Jinchul is surprised by this, but just then something even more surprising happens, and he senses a strange aura from the gate. He asks his team to do another magic power test on this dungeon, and meanwhile inside the gate, Hae-in is surprised by the large number of slain high orcs. She can't wrap her head around how Ki-hun's party managed to slay so many of them, and she decides to hurry up to the boss room, as she also sensed that terrifying magical power just now. The scene then cuts to the boss mocking Jinwoo for facing his army with such a meager force, and Jinwoo increases the power of his shadow army using Monarch's domain. He explains that this is the new job skill that he learned, and he elaborates that his shadow soldiers have become stronger after the battle at the demon's castle. The other hunters are not sure what's happening anymore, and the high orcs attack Jinwoo's army, but we notice that his generals are strong enough to tear through the orcs like they are doing some pest control. Jinwoo is also assisting them in reducing the number of the high orcs, and the hunters notice that he is moving the same way as Hae-in. They are not sure why someone with his power came in as a porter, and Jinwoo notices that the strength of his infantry is equal to that of a B rank hunter, and his soldiers are dying 4 to 5 times to kill a single orc. He realizes that he has to reduce the number of orcs, or his mana is going to take a toll, and the boss joins in the fight, using a fire spell to wipe out his shadow soldiers. He tells Jinwoo to not get arrogant, but this doesn't change his attitude, as he informs the boss that his soldiers can resurrect infinitely. The boss then attacks Jinwoo and his soldiers using his gravity magic, and he mentions that he is going to keep destroying his soldiers until his magic power runs out. He continues his attack, wiping out Jinwoo's soldiers over and over again, and Jinwoo keeps on re-summoning them. He wonders if the boss is trying to keep his distance from him using his long-range attacks, and the boss wonders how long Jinwoo is going to last like this. Back outside the gate we see that the results of the magic power test are out, and they reveal that this dungeon is extremely close to an S-rank gate. Jinchul asks the miners to contact the leader of the Hunters Guild at once, and the surveillance department gets ready to support the assault team. Inside the dungeon, the boss tells Jinwoo that both the strength and numbers of his army surpasses that of Jinwoo's, and Jinwoo notices that his magic power is running out fast. He drinks a mana potion, increasing his power, and he mentions that he is just about to start showing his real power as a necromancer. He resurrects all the fallen high orcs as undead, and he tells the boss that he is going to make him a part of his army as well. The boss then wonders if Jinwoo is the Lord, puzzled why he is even here, and he recalls ever since he opened his eyes in this place, the only command that's going through his head is to kill humans. He thinks that the reason behind this is not important, and he decides to just obey this command. He sends his generals into the fray, and the scene cuts to the Hunters Guild. Choi is surprised to find out that the gate is close to AS rank, and he thinks that the evaluation must be true because Ki-hun and the others would be out by now if this was not the case. He realizes that if this gate has a dungeon break, it will be the Jeju Island incident all over again, and he is glad that there is still time before that happens. He asks his assistant to mobilize every hunter in the guild, and the assistant sends a message to every A rank and above hunter. Choi mentions that they might need to ask the White Tiger Guild and Fiend Guild for support, and the assistant is surprised to hear this, but Choi states that all they can do right now is to prevent things from getting worse. Meanwhile inside the boss room we notice Jinwoo's general fighting the orc general, and Jinwoo's generals are totally dominating the fight. The boss is surprised to see his generals lose, and the other hunters decide to help out Jinwoo, but the boss doesn't want them getting in his way, and he injures a few of them. He gets off of his high and mighty ass, and he mentions that he is going to make Jin Woo regret facing him. He uses some curses to induce blindness, lethargy, and slumber to Jin Woo, but they don't work because of his health and longevity skill. Jin Woo explains that he is resistant to poisons and curses, and he summons his mages. The boss uses his magic shield to defend against them, and the mages cast a fireball enhanced by the Orb of Avarice. It manages to pierce the boss's barrier, attacking him, and the boss gets pissed by this. Just then Cha Hae-in arrives on the scene, and she is baffled by the sight before her. She notices the other hunters, and she observes that Ki-hun has been injured, but the healer is healing him. She asks them what's the situation here, but they are not sure of this themselves, and the boss uses strengthening magic, and some others spells to turn himself into a giant, trying to crush Jin Woo underfoot, but he dodges. He mentions that he doesn't like giants, probably because of what happened in the double dungeon, and the boss uses some fire spells in the area around him, wiping out friend and foe alike. He wonders if Jin Woo still thinks that he can go up against him, and Jin Woo stabs his eye, telling him that by turning into a giant, he has just made himself a bigger target. He mentions that a mage without any guards stands no chance of victory against an assassin-type hunter, and the boss attacks him with some fire spells, but Jin Woo dodges them all, and he attacks him with his dagger, but this doesn't do any damage. He realizes that he needs something bigger, and he uses his ruler's hand to grab some chains, using them to tie up the boss, and toss him around the room. Just then Jinchul arrives at the scene, witnessing this amazing sight, and he tells Hae-in that he came to support when he sensed strong magic power outside, but he doesn't think that this would be necessary anymore. Seeing that even the chief of the surveillance department recognizes his power, Hae-in thinks that Jin Woo must be a big deal, and she asks Jinchul who he is. Jinchul mentions that he himself doesn't know Jin Woo that well, and Jin Woo informs the injured boss that his fate was decided the moment his guards died. The boss refuses to admit defeat, and Jin Woo uses his own former guards to put an end to him. He gains some levels afterwards, and he extracts the boss's soul. He notices that he can name him, and he doesn't remember the boss's name, the same as me, so he names him Fong. He finds out that Fong has the elite knight rank, and he thinks that he has never seen this rank before, but he is sure that this is something amazing. He states that the high orcs are also a major gain, and Jinchul approaches him. Jin Woo didn't notice him until now as he was too engrossed in the soul extraction, and the other hunters ask Jin Woo what happened just now. Before Jin Woo can say anything, Jinchul's team interferes on his behalf, telling them that Jin Woo is the association's top secret right now. He asks everyone to keep today's events confidential, and understand that Jin Woo displayed the power of an S-rank hunter only to protect them. Jinchul and the others then escort out Jin Woo, but before he leaves, Ki-hun and his party thank him with their heart, and he returns the healer's will to her. Later Choi receives the report of the incident, and he has also found out how amazing Jin Woo is. He thinks that it's hard to believe how many abilities this guy has, and he asks Ki-hun who is stronger between him and Jin Woo. Ki-hun tells him that usually raids are handled by multiple hunters doing their part, but Jin Woo defies this common sense. He asks Choi if he will be able to conquer the most difficult dungeon on his own, and Choi states that he can't, thinking that his title as the ultimate hunter is nothing but a joke now. Elsewhere we see Jin Woo meeting up with Jin Ho, and he asks him how did the matter of the guild master go. Jin Ho tells him what happened, and the scene changes to the Hunter Association where a famous actor Lee Min-sung has awakened as a hunter, and the media has gathered around to cover this news. Min-sung thinks that he is the star of the day, and he feels great about this. The scene cuts to Baek Yoon-ho and Choi Jong-in arriving at the Hunter Association, and the media thinks that they are here to recruit Lee Min-sung. Yoon-ho wonders who that is, and he mentions that he is not here for that. Choi has heard of Lee Min-sung, but he states that he has already signed a contract with the Fiend Guild, and he is here for something else. The media gets disappointed hearing this, and they leave them alone. Yoon-ho then recalls that he has heard that Choi was troubled by the recent A-rank dungeon which almost reached S-rank, and Choi tells him that it was not as bad as what the White Tiger Guild had to deal with in the Red Gate, as they had casualties. Yoon-ho mentions that he heard that Choi was almost about to ask him for help, but Choi states that it didn't turn out like this because of Jin Woo, and for this he will have to give the guy a grand welcome to his guild. Yoon-ho mentions that Jin Woo saved them as well, so he has to do the same, and they fight over who is going to recruit the guy. Just then the guild master of the Fiend Guild asks them if they are fighting over Lee Min-sung, but they tell him that they are not interested in that guy, and Jin Woo who arrives at the association wonders why there is so much fuss here. Meanwhile we notice the girls at Jin-ah's school looking at the news from the Hunter Association about Min-sung, and they talk about how Min-sung is an actor with a bad reputation, and there are several scandals surrounding him, saying that he sleeps around with the actresses that he works with. Back at the association we notice Min-sung addressing the media, and he mentions that he has made up his mind to become a hunter. He states that he is going to join the Fiend Guild under the leadership of its master, Lim Tae-gyu, and the media asks him if this means that he is retiring from the entertainment industry. They are surprised that he made this decision without even knowing his assessment results, and Min-sung thinks that he actually knows that he is a rank A hunter, and his contract with the Fiend Guild is going to last for 2 years. After that he is going to return to the industry once more, and by then everyone will forget about his scandals. He pretends that he is going to risk his life to fight magic beasts, regardless of his rank, and just then Jin-woo tries to get into the association, but Min-sung's guards stop him, telling him that he can't go in until the conference is over. Just then Gun-hee arrives there, telling him that Jin-woo is a guest of his, and he recalls that he requested them to not hold a press conference at this hour. Min-sung is not happy about this, but Gun-hee doesn't give a shit, and he takes Jin-woo inside. This makes the media wonder who Jin-woo is, and Min-sung tries to head into the association to get appraised, but Jin-chul stops him, telling him that he can't get inside right now, as there are others undergoing reappraisal. Min-sung asks him if he knows who he is, telling him that he might lose his job with just a word from him, but Jin-chul has no idea who he is, threatening him to stay outside or else. We then see Gun-hee taking Jin-woo to the reassessment venue, and Jin-woo notices that Choi and Yoon-ho are here to see his results. Jin-woo heads inside the assessment room, and before reassessing his power, they ask him what kind of abilities he uses. Jin-woo shows them that he can summon soldiers, summoning one of them, and Gun-hee knows that this is not all he can do, as Jin-chul has told him all about his real abilities. Jin-woo decides to show his real power in this case, summoning his army, and he tells them that he can summon about 100 more of them. Gun-hee is surprised to see and hear this, and Choi and Yoon-ho can feel his immense magic power, thinking that it's even stronger than them. Afterwards we find out that the appraisal process is over, and Jin-woo gets issued an S-rank hunter license. He thinks that now no one is going to suspect him if he sells the Sphere of Avarice, and he can use the money he makes to get equipped. He decides to conquer the Demon Castle this time around, and Gun-hee looks forward to seeing what he can achieve. We then see Jin-woo leaving the association, and Choi and Yoon-ho are waiting to talk to him in order to recruit him, but he walks right past them, telling them that he has other matters to attend to. Just as he opens the door to the association, he finds the media clicking photos of him, and Song-yi is surprised to see him on the news. She shows this to Jin-ah, and she is just as surprised, seeing that her brother has become an S-rank hunter. All of Jin-woo's associates see the news, and some can't believe their eyes, while others knew it was only a matter of time. Back at the association we notice that the media has left Min-sung, and is covering Jin-woo now, and they ask him all sorts of questions. Meanwhile Jin-ho tells his father that he was unable to persuade Jin-woo into joining his guild, and he recalls that Jin-woo rejected his offer, telling him that there is something he has to do right now, and he has to complete this thing alone. He told him that he has to become stronger in order to achieve this, and joining any organizations right now is only going to hinder his progress. He then asked Jin-ho to follow him instead, and his father asks him if he knows how selfish his decision is. He reminds him that he originally entrusted this project to his brother, but he made a change just because Jin-ho insisted, and now he is trying to abandon everything and leave without accomplishing anything. He asks him if he thinks that this is fair, and Jin-ho recalls his time with Jin-woo, determinedly telling his father that he has to go to Jin-woo, no matter what. At the same time, we notice the association staff, keeping the media from getting too close to Jin-woo, and Yoon-ho offers to take Jin-woo back home as dealing with the media is going to exhaust him, but Jin-woo tells him that there is no need, and he uses his speed to slip past the media, covering his face. Choi is surprised that he is this strong physically despite being a mage, and Yoon-ho can't believe that he wasn't able to follow his movements even with his eyes. He wonders if Jin-woo has actually become stronger since the last he saw him, and Jin-woo thinks that now he just has to get the equipment. We notice him at an auction house, and he tells the staff that he wants to buy an item which can defend against fire-based attacks. The member of staff asks him what it's for, and he informs him that it's for resisting the heat inside a dungeon, and he shows him a cloak along with some rings. He tells him that it's affordable as well, but the price is still a bit too high for him. He wonders if it can be lowered, but the staff tells him that they have a fixed price at their store. However, if Jin-woo can break the glass housing their equipment, he might have them for free. Jin-woo is surprised to hear this, preparing to break the glass, while the member of staff tells him how strong it is, but just as he is about to punch it, the staff stops him, telling him that he was just kidding. He mentions that even if Jin Woo is not able to break the glass, a slight vibration in it is going to trigger the alarm, and he apologizes for taking the joke too far. Jin Woo feels awkward about this, and he tells the staff that he wants to see some weapons as well. The staff in charge of weapons takes him to show him some short swords, and the other staff notices that Jin Woo managed to crack the glass, even though he never touched it. Meanwhile, Jin Woo is shown a short sword, asking its price, and it's hefty. Jin Woo can't believe how much they are charging him, even though its strength barely matches the Kasaka's venom fang at most, and he shows him a dagger that he just bought from his personal store, asking the staff how much it can be sold for. The staff tells him that it can be sold for 100 million, and Jin Woo is surprised to hear this as he bought this for 2.8 million gold in the store. He thinks that items purchased from the store must have high value, and he thinks that he won't need to sell the Spear of Avarice in this case. He heads to the bathroom for a bit, and the scene cuts to the headquarters of the White Tiger Guild. Yunho recalls Jin Woo's strength, and he thinks that Jin Woo's second awakening must have ended long ago, wondering how he is still getting stronger. He then gets a thought, asking himself if he is approaching this the wrong way, and Jin Woo might be a hunter who can continuously grow stronger. The scene then cuts to Jin Woo's house, and Jin Ah notices that the media has finally left their house alone. She is glad that she will be able to go to school again, and Jin Woo thinks that the association must have helped with this. Jin Ah tells him that he can be on the TV if he wants, but she asks him to not get her involved, and he thinks that there is no use telling him all this, as it's not under his control. He informs her that he is going to be away for a week from tomorrow onwards, and she is surprised, wondering what he will be doing. Just then Jin Ho shows up at his doorstep, and Jin Ah asks him if he is one of his friends. Jin Ho mentions that he is Jin Woo's right-hand man, and Jin Woo makes an excuse, telling Jin Ah that he will be working with this guy for a week. Jin Ho doesn't know what he is talking about, but Jin Woo gives him a push, and he understands that he wants him to play along. At night, we see Jin Ho sleeping in Jin Woo's room, and Jin Woo checks up on Jin Ah, thinking that things might have settled down for now, but now everyone knows that he is an S-rank hunter, and he has to be careful. He summons Fang's guards from earlier, and he notices that there are only 3 of them, recalling that Fang had 4 guards. One of them reminds Jin Woo that the last one was hurled to the ceiling by Jin Woo, and his shadow extraction didn't reach that guy. Jin Woo doesn't mind as the 3 of them are enough, and he leaves behind one of them to protect Jin Ah. We then see him on the roof, and he thinks that he needs to strengthen security in his neighborhood as well, and he releases some of his soldiers to patrol the area and keep it peaceful. The next day, we see Jin Ho and Jin Woo driving somewhere, and Jin Ho thanks him for letting him stay over. Jin Woo tells him that he didn't have to run away from his house, and Jin Ho asks him to not worry about this, asking him what business he has at Daesung Tower. Jin Woo tells him that he is going to be training for a week, and Jin Ho is surprised that he wants to become stronger even though he is a S-rank hunter. Jin Woo replies that he does, and Jin Ho is not that surprised about his reply. Afterwards we see Jin Woo inside the Demon Tower, equipped with his water-based ring and his robe of wind. He decides to begin conquering this castle, and he gets a quest, asking him to kill the demon monarch, Baron, who is on the top floor of this tower. He notices that the reward is a rune stone for the ability called Shadow Exchange, and 30 ability points. He gets excited about the rewards, and he teleports to the 76th floor. We then notice Jin Ho's mother talking with his father, and she is surprised that their son has left the house. His father is not that worried about this, but just then something happens to him and he collapses. Meanwhile, at the Demon Castle we see Jin Woo facing off against a boss-level monster, and he summons Fang, giving it the Spear of Avarice. Fang fires a fire spell at the monster, and he turns it to ashes. Seeing his power, Jin Woo thinks that he must carefully consider the situations where he can use him. Afterwards we see Jin Ho's father awake at the hospital, and he finds out that Jin Ho came to visit him. His wife tells him that she lied to him, telling him that his father collapsed due to overwork, and they recall that the doctor told them that he has contracted the eternal slumber disease. He explained that it's a condition where one is occasionally overwhelmed by sleepiness, and they eventually fall into eternal slumber. Jin Ho's father wondered why he got this disease, and the doctor informed him that people with low magic power resistance are prone to it if they are exposed to magic power for long. He asked him if there are any hunters among his friends and relatives, and this makes them both think about their son, Jin Ho. However, the doctor told them that this cause is still not confirmed. Jin Ho's father then wonders if he has been eliminated by this world, and meanwhile at the border of the country we notice some hunters patrolling the area. They come across a flying magic beast, and they wonder what it is. Meanwhile in the demon castle, Jin Woo gains some levels after the recent fights, and he explains that he has divided his soldiers into 6 teams. He is having them act separately, and he has given them 2 orders. The first is to kill all visible enemies, and second is to inform him once the permit is found. He explains that because of this he won't be able to obtain any items other than the permit, but this is more efficient, but his progress has slowed down ever since he reached the 80th floor. He wonders what could be taking his soldiers so much time, and he suddenly notices his MP dropping drastically. He finds out that someone is continuously destroying his soldiers, and it's his team A that they are after. He is surprised that someone here was able to defeat his team of high orcs, and he calls back the team, heading to investigate this himself. On the scene, he finds out that Team B was also attacked, and he thinks that this enemy must be formidable. However, he realizes that something is strange. He points out that Fong's team was closer to Team A, but the enemy still targeted Team B, which was far off. He realizes that this enemy knew that Fong was more than they can handle, and they are specifically choosing opponents that they can defeat easily. He figures out that they will attack the Ice Bear squad next, and he notices some demon knights attacking the Ice Bears. They tear though the bears, like they are toys, and Jin Woo watches them while hiding using his stealth skill. He thinks that they are good, and he deactivates his stealth. One of the knights attacks him, but he makes swift work of him, and he takes care of the other 2 when they attack him, leaving behind just the leader. He heads towards her, but she retreats, and he thinks that he always wondered if magic beasts felt fear, and now he has confirmed that they do. Thanks for watching my recap. Please like, share, and subscribe to get latest anime recap updates.